You know, every single day, you're browsing, shopping, posting, just living your life online. But have you ever wondered what's making it all happen? What's the invisible engine that's powering pretty much everything you do? Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain on one of the most important pieces of tech you've probably never even seen: MySQL.
So picture this. You're signing up for something, maybe buying a gift online. You fill out the form, you take a deep breath, and you click that submit button. And poof, all that info just disappears into the internet. But where does it actually go? I mean, how does that website remember you the next time you visit?
That question, it really gets to a huge challenge for the entire internet. It needs a memory. Seriously, the web can't just be a bunch of pages that sit there. It has to be this living, breathing thing that remembers who you are, what's in your shopping cart, and honestly, billions of other pieces of data from millions of other people. And the solution to this big memory problem is something we call a database. The absolute best way to think about it is like a giant, super organized digital filing cabinet. It's a system built for one purpose: to store, manage, and find huge amounts of information, like lightning fast.
And that, right there, brings us to the star of our show today. MySQL is one of the most popular databases on the entire planet. It's what's called open source, which is just a fancy way of saying its code is out there for anyone to see and use. It is the go-to digital filing cabinet for everyone, from tiny little blogs to absolute giants like Facebook and YouTube. It's that engine just humming along quietly in the background.
So, what makes this digital filing cabinet so special? Why this one? Well, let's crack it open and take a little peek inside to see how it actually keeps all that information so tidy. Okay, so MySQL is what's known as a relational database. I know that sounds super technical and maybe a little boring, but hang with me, because the idea is actually really simple. It just means all the data is organized into tables, kind of like a spreadsheet. You've got your columns that say what the information is, and then rows that hold the actual data. The relational part just means you can connect data from one table to another. Easy, right?
And look, this table is the perfect example. You see the columns, given names, surname, course name, and each row is its own unique entry. It's John Paul's grade in a specific class. It's just so clean and structured. And that's exactly what makes it so incredibly fast for a computer to search through.
All right, so a database by itself is just a filing cabinet sitting in a room, right? It needs someone to bring it requests and carry files back and forth. So let's see how it teams up with a couple of other key players to make a website actually work.
Just think of it like a three-part team. First, your web browser sends a request to a web server. That's a big computer running software like Apache that just handles all the web traffic. Then, the server passes your request to a scripting language, something like PHP, which acts as the ultimate translator. It figures out what you want, and it knows exactly how to talk to the database. It'll ask MySQL to either find something or to store something new. And then boom, MySQL does its job, and the whole thing happens in reverse to get the information back to your screen.
And believe it or not, this whole complex dance starts with something you see every day, just like this form. The moment you type your name in this box and click that button, you kick off that entire journey. Your browser, the server, the script, the database, they all just spring into action, all in the blink of an eye. It's pretty amazing.
But wait a second. How does that scripting language, that translator, actually talk to the database? It can't just shout, "Hey, go find me this user." No, it has to speak a very, very specific language.
Right. You can't just yell into the file room and hope for the best. You've got to be precise. So how do you phrase your question to this digital filing cabinet so it gives you exactly the one file you're looking for, and not, the entire cabinet?
You use a language called SQL. It stands for Structured Query Language, and it's basically the universal language for talking to databases like this. This command right here is a perfect, simple example. It's a clear instruction. Select the user and host columns from the table named user. Simple as that. And this is what the database hands back: the exact answer to the exact question we asked. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the real power of SQL. It is a precise, efficient way to have a conversation. And this little conversation, it's happening behind the scenes of almost every single website you use, all day, every day. Now, having all this data organized and easy to access is incredibly powerful, but it also comes with a massive responsibility. This thing isn't just a filing cabinet anymore. It's more like a digital vault. It's holding all this important information, and it absolutely has to be protected.
When you're talking about security, there are basically two ways to think about it. On the right, you have default allow. That's like leaving every door in the building unlocked and then trying to lock the important ones. But look at the left, default deny. This is what the experts prefer. You start with every single door locked, and you only hand out a key to a specific door when someone absolutely needs it. It is just a much safer way to manage who gets in.
But, beyond all the locks and keys, when it comes to truly protecting your data, there is one single rule that stands above everything else. Just one.
And that is having a fantastic backup plan. But listen, it's not enough to just make a copy every now and then. That copy needs to happen automatically, and it needs to happen often. It also needs to be stored somewhere else. I mean, if your building burns down, a backup disk sitting next to the server is totally useless. And you have to test your backups to make sure you can actually use them. And never forget, a stolen backup is just as devastating as a hacked database.
Protecting the data also means keeping it running smoothly. Database managers are always tuning the engine. They're looking at things called slow query logs to find any of those SQL questions that are taking too long to get an answer. Finding and fixing those keeps the website feeling fast and snappy for all of us. It's all part of keeping that engine in tip-top shape.
So, let's just quickly bring it all home. We started out with a big problem. The internet needs a memory. We found the solution, a digital filing cabinet, a database called MySQL. We saw how it uses simple tables to keep things organized and how it works with a whole team of technologies to make websites come alive. We even learned a bit of the language it speaks, SQL. And finally, we saw just how critical it is to protect and maintain that vault of information.
So the next time you log into your email, or you stream a show, or even just scroll through your social media feed, maybe just take a second and think about that unseen engine humming away in the background. What invisible databases, just like MySQL, are working hard right this second to power your digital world?